everybody.
Yeah, okay. But we're in generally safe places.
Yes.
And so if the if you want to do something, you can sell art, whether it has a sailboat in it or not, and send that off to a relief fund or Doctors Without Borders or something like that, to feel that you're contributing. But and you could make art that's about the war, but I believe everyone should be making art right now.
Maybe if we all made art more,
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so that's how I feel about it.
I like that, Nancy. Yeah.
There was a thing on the internet yesterday about a town, and I don't know where it was, that enlisted all the artists in the community to paint sunflowers on the storefront windows, and then to wrap all of the light poles and things in sunflowers to show solidarity. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yes, yeah, and that's another way that art can, make be a positive force. Exactly. There's so many
build community. I think
build community. Yes.
Yeah, things have been so divisive that strategy like that to build community is amazing.
Exactly. And I think there's so many ways in which maybe some of you will take this jelly plate printing process out to your neighbors and friends and maybe people who you don't know and say, let's do this together at the library. Let's, there's so many ways that we can think about it. But anyway, great little conversation here, everybody. Thank you. Oh, Kate, did you want to say something? But you're muted.
Yeah,
there you go.
I just wanted to say, do people mind if I eat? I'm starving.
No.
No.
I've done it.
It's okay. No problem.
Thank you.
If art can
Nothing that interesting. Pardon me?
The one thing to know though is that I did that once, and I watched the recording, and I'm like watching myself eat, turn around, go, do all this stuff, and I'm like,
okay, so I'm gonna put me off camera, but no, I'm here, and I'll jump back on and off. Good tip, Katie. Thank you.
That's fine. That's totally fine. Okay, so yes, let's get into this. So last week we talked about sort of getting deeper into some aspect of this class that you wanted to revisit, whether it was just continuing to make prints, registering your paper so you have more than one print, whatever, or making a larger piece and incorporating painting and printmaking, or books or whatever. So, you were just kind of, I let you go, and because I think it is, it's a fast-paced class. We don't spend a lot of time on one thing, but there may be people who want to go back. So let's take a look at Padlet first, and then I have a lot to cover today. I wanted to talk about integrating imagery into the work, which kind of speaks to what Katie was saying. I have a lot to say about that. And also a little bit about printing on fabric. So let's start with a Padlet and see what we see. And again, if you don't have anything, don't worry. I mean, this is just, it's fine not, to just watch and see what other people have got. This is not, like you're not getting graded on this, everybody. This is simply, as wonderful if you do, because we can talk about it, but if not a problem. Okay, so. Painterly print, here we go. Okay, and if you did send anything to me, do let me know. Oh, so Tammy, great, you have something very apropos. Let's take a look at what you did and talk a little bit about that.
Ooh. Yeah, so I was just getting really obsessed with like the Ukrainian flag images that we see everywhere.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was trying to do a ton of things, especially with texture. And I feel like this, like I was getting into like a Jasper Johns kind of phase, because I was, and also like I only had one brayer that to get dirty. So like, I was like, let me make the blue flat and let me use like a palette knife
Mhm,
for the yellow
mhm.
to sort of spread it. So
Yeah.
yeah. And
Spread
yeah.
it on the gel plate, you spread it with a palette knife?
Yeah, yeah. So and I've done some things where I was like, oh, let me see if I can do sunflower petals. And so I feel like you can see. And then I had used so I had used a template from before that also had sunflowers in it.
Mhm.
Like some of those shapes you're seeing.
Mhm, mhm.
And you can even see it in the blue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
You
yeah.
mean that was a matrix that you made, the matrix
right.
that you made.
Yeah.
Tammy? Yeah, okay, great, yeah. Mhm. Good, good, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was, and like, yeah, this is just one of like many that I just made. Cause like one day I just like, I was listening to the news and I was like, well, what
Yeah.
can I do? Right.
Yeah, well, we all feel that way, absolutely.
Yeah.
We
And-
have a,
Yeah. And then the next one is kind of in a similar vein. Cause I wanted to just add something that looked a little representational.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
So,
great. So I
yeah.
see you're using, it's great to see how you're using some of the things that we covered here
Yeah.
in this class in ways that are, really uniquely yours. This looks like a stencil. Is this
Yeah.
a ghost of a stencil?
Yeah, I put paint over the stencil. So this
Yeah.
was the first print that I pulled
Mhm.
over the stencil, and it came out more interesting than I realized. And I like the way that it looks like folk arty and like wood block print.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. So
Yeah.
I'm just
And-
playing with stuff like that.
And I
looks
also want
like-
to point out, let me just quickly point out here that, Tammy, you are referring to some landscape or, sort of elements without hitting us over the head, it has a relationship to something that we can identify with out in the real world. And yet it also leaves room for the imagination. Yeah. So that's another way to approach working. Yeah, I'm sorry, somebody was kind of,
Can
yeah,
I?
Katie, yeah.
I don't know, I don't know if this, what your intention was or anything, but for me, when I look at that, knowing that what you were starting out with in terms of the colors, it comes across, as the rubble of all of those buildings that you see
Oh, yeah, that's
on the
another,
ground.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's very powerful for me. That's a very powerful image for me.
yeah. And that is the dialogue that we all are going to have on an individual basis, with whatever we are looking at. We are going to bring our own selves to a work of art. And so it does take some work, doesn't it? There's got to be a little bit of work on the viewer's part as well. Great, Tammy, thank you. Let's see, Kate.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure, please.
Adrian,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So I apologize because I think Tammy answered this. So did you put the two colors on, I'm on the, how did you do this? So the two colors on the gel plate, or are those two different prints on the first one? And I guess the second one.
Yeah. So I was, I put the two colors on, right? And the blue was with the brayer. And then I had put the actual like stencil
Yeah.
on the piece. And then, and I was like trying to, cause it was, at first it was like, I knew that there was like still ghost images from before. So
Yeah.
I put the paint, I put more paint over the ghost images. And then I put this on top. And then I was like, is there enough paint in between each of the things? And then I ran the brayer over this.
I see. And then you pulled a print off that.
Yeah. So
And
like,
Yep, got it. And the two colors, to reiterate, you have like the blue on the top of the gel plate and the yellow on the bottom of the gel plate, or those are two separates?
no, it's all one gel plate.
Oh, it's cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
These are beautiful, really. And I really appreciate Katie's comment. It's true. They're very interesting and I love them. Thank you.
Well, like, and also like the sunflower petals and like
Yeah.
shrapnel and like all of that is sort of like in the air and like what you hear on the radio. So I feel like I try not to watch television because it's like, it's too much, but like,
So like, was the red on the gel plate, or that was another print you put over the yellow?
Yeah, so that red was like an orangey. I thought it was the only
Yeah,
yellow that
orange,
I
yeah.
had, right? So it was an orangey yellow, and I put that
Mhm.
one down very like the very first thing, and then I found like the other yellow, and
Oh, put it
yeah,
over it.
exactly.
Cool.
And then I was like, ooh, I didn't realize that was still there because I thought I had mixed it in.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's like,
It's
ugh.
a very, it's a very significant mark in that
Right?
right there. Yeah.
You know, you might almost see a fighter plane here, you know, I
Yeah,
mean, it really,
wings.
or
Exactly.
Body
wings.
or
a body, I mean, yeah. So,
And now, and the
Blood.
colors
Blood,
even,
Right.
like, wow, the blood, the
And I
guts.
mean, here's another thing to think about in terms of, you know, realistic versus abstract. Would this be more powerful or less powerful if, you know, Tammy made, you know, this obviously something?
Yeah.
You
Like a
know,
plane
that's
or
just a
a bird.
question. I don't know. But we're able certainly to bring thoughts to it without something being so. All right, Kate, let's see what you have been doing here. Tell us. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, came in a little late on your discussion about what this is all about, but it's really self-discovery for me, definitely. I mean, again, like I hadn't really taken an art class before, and it's bringing me, I just am enjoying the puzzle of it all and the freedom with it. But I also am gotten a little bit frustrated, which is true of when you're learning new things, right? Like at first it's really fun, everything's very fun and playful, blah, blah, blah. But then I'm trying to get to a little more of a place where I have some control. So I wrecked a few things that I really liked, and I made a bunch of things I didn't like at all. And finally I got a few things I liked that I was trying to achieve. So I was trying to retain some white and to be able to put things where I wanted them, and I could look at this and say, well, I like these colors, I like these images. I would like a little more white in there, but I'm working on that. So that, you know, that's sort of what's going on for me. And I think that one thing I've discovered is that the things that bring me a lot of relaxation and make me happy tend to be very fluid. Even how I socialize, you know, oh, stop over, have a drink, join us for supper. We're just sitting down. Gardening, I don't like to have a formal thing. I like to just play in the yard and move things and whatever. And so this is it feels like, yes, this is very much what I need in the winter.
That is great.
Another tool. So then
Yeah.
you can see the others are white. And I also have discovered that I really like the collaging. None of these are collages, but it's like a puzzle, you know.
Exactly.
So this one I was able to leave some white, and then I did some of the white on top, and I was enjoying that, how it, you know, mostly I'm just trying to learn control.
Exactly.
You know.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you guys are still in the learning stage for sure. I mean, you know, there's still so much. And so, yeah, there's a learning curve, and, you know, be patient with yourself. You will start to be able to anticipate. And I'm sure you're already anticipating a lot about the work. But and at the end of the day, printmaking has this element of surprise. It will always have this element of surprise. You're never going to be able to completely know what you're going to get. And that's why printmakers love printmaking.
Yeah, it's fun for that.
It is, yeah. It's always a little bit of a crapshoot. Even you know, when you're doing something with a big press, and, you know, even an etching or engraving or something that's much more sort of, you know, requiring much more labor in the beginning of it. Kate, I'm noticing that you're using this you know, outer edge here. What was this, the full print though, or are you cropping?
I think it was Robin who had said she had some mats that she was using.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually had some, so I just started pulling them out. I found it helped me to see it better. So yeah, I just pulled that out, and
That's great.
I have some more. Yeah, so I'll be looking at some of these pieces to say, like, I like the smaller format as it turns out.
Mhm.
You know, I enjoyed the bookmaking because I think partly it was the smaller format with collage a lot, but we'll see. I mean, and the
Yeah.
other thing I'm looking forward to in I guess our next round is I'd love some help. I mean, I really would like feedback on design, you know, like I'm just struggling with that. It's, well,
Yeah.
not struggling isn't the right word, but
Yeah.
you know, moving to understand that better and use it,
Yes.
maybe that's a better word.
Yes, yes.
So I have some things that I didn't put up that I thought like, I like this a lot,
Mhm.
but what can I do with it now? It's not done and, you know, whatever, blah, blah. I don't
Well,
want-
we're, yeah, this is the kind of thing that we will get into in part two, you know, a little bit more. And I think it's a very good time to start doing that for everybody, you know, to, you know, go through, allow yourself to play and be just responsive to what you see. And then the next step is that editing process that, you know, that
Yeah,
happens.
good way to put it,
And you don't
yeah.
want to edit while you're in, you know, while you're in the sort of embrace of the process. You know, the process and editing are two different activities. So if
Yeah,
you start to
that's-
edit too much while you're in the process, you kill the joy.
Yeah, and maybe the print.
And maybe the print, exactly. So you want to have those as two separate things. That's great, Kate.
No, wait,
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like that piece. I like the movement of the piece. I really
Yeah.
do. But I'm still in the how did you do it? Can you just tell me a little bit?
Yeah. So I laid down, I think either the green or the blue as kind of a base. And I haven't had success with putting white so much on the gel plate.
Yeah.
So, and getting it where I want it. So I actually was playing with putting the, putting where I wanted to block, you know, or put the forms actually on the paper before I flip it over. So I have a little more control. That has been working for me. I'm a little dyslexic. I think that might be why it's, so anyway, so I did that with, maybe the green or the blue. And then I continue to try to use the same shapes that I had, which I actually had cut off of coffee, you know, paper coffee filters. And
Yeah.
kind of took the edge. And, you know, as I layered a couple of other colors on, but each time trying to block with the, you know, leave white.
Yes.
And then I just kind of got into this white thing and I put some white on the gel plate,
Yep.
not a little blotchy and not too hard. And I did it with a few of them, so I don't remember if this was the ghost or the whatever, but I just put it down and I was like, uh-oh, here goes my wrecking another print. And I pulled it off and I really enjoyed it. And I liked how the white had kind of come through the center
Yeah.
in that blue strip.
Mhm.
And
That's beautiful.
I don't know, it was fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't
no.
so sure about, like, I probably wouldn't have done that dripping down, but oh, I know. I
Mhm.
really didn't like that pink shape originally because we had these angular pieces and everything else was rounded. So I wasn't sure I liked it. So I was trying to like get it to be less stark.
Mhm. Yeah, those are all, I mean, the way you're describing your thought process, Kate, is really great. And that is, you know, that is how we all think, you know, that is what I think the process is, you know, responding to what is in front of you and, you know, having in mind, you know, you're using similar shapes so that you have that repetition going on, which we know is one of the ways that you can create a unified composition, you know, so unification of a composition has been, you know, something that we strive for it's one of the things that you can look toward doing in your work. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It does have a sense of movement because as you remember, our eyes follow contours. So they'll follow the contour shapes. And so if you say that you do that, look, it brings you around and around, which is always a good thing because it keeps our eyes within the picture plane, and again, we want to keep people looking at our work. How do you engage the viewer's eye? So that's another thing that is successful in terms of grabbing someone's attention. Okay.
I would like to just say,
Yeah.
I don't know why you think this is not finished.
Oh, well, I think this one might be, and in fact, maybe it's a little too finished. I mean,
No,
that's-
oh
you know,
no,
it's a
I
bit-
love it. I love how
Oh,
you
thank you.
repeated the shapes, and it really does have just a beautiful movement to it.
Mm, thank you.
It's beautiful.
And everybody also, along those lines, Katie and everybody, a great thing to remember to do is to put your work up in your house and stand back from it, get way back from it. And this is what we're doing while we look on a screen like this, because at that point, you can see much better the larger parts of the work and how it's all working together, that we might lose if we look at everything like 12 inches from our face. It's too close. So step back from your work. Look at it sideways, look at it vertically, try different things. And that also can inform how you go back into working on it, So all
Yeah.
those things are,
Trying to do that.
yeah. So for sure, from here, you can see, that the white doesn't really, it's not as dramatic as you think it is, right?
Mm.
In fact, this area of white is more obvious, and it's kind of what we see first almost. So things that you think are a big deal close up are maybe not such a big deal when you stand back.
Mm.
Words to live by.
Okay, well, probably in a lot of things in life, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I just to say, again, interestingly, any thoughts about this one too, Kate?
Well, just to say, to me, this one isn't finished.
Yeah. Maybe
Um,
not.
And I don't know what I would do with it. And maybe it'll end up being fun to do collaging with, but
Yeah.
like I feel like if I could get like if I could do it, maybe some sort of a round thing, maybe up here or something
Yeah.
with a certain color, maybe I don't know what, introduce new color, go with it. Anyway, to me, this isn't done, but I'm not sure what I would do with it.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Right. Great. All right. So let's see, Mary Ellen, these are your new pieces?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. Yeah. I looked at them already and now I'm not sure if I looked at them last week or yesterday, but
Yeah, I looked at them too.
yeah. Okay. So tell us about this one.
So I was playing with black and with the
Mhm.
eyelash yarn,
Yeah.
and also with masking off some of the spots with strips of paper.
Yeah.
So the blue is an old print that I did several weeks ago. And so I took and I put strips of paper over it and rolled over it with the magenta.
Yeah.
And then I took the eyelash yarn and I inked up the plate with black paint, and then I put the eyelash yarn over it and then printed that. And that's how I get all those crazy shapes.
Yeah. And I'm getting
Oh.
from this one, looking at it too, it has an emotional impact.
Yeah.
There's something
Mm.
about the frayedness of the line, that sort of,
Speaks to my life, a little bit
yeah,
frayed.
or in general, the world. Like, I feel like this is one in which, again, someone who's using not representational necessarily, but I think it conveys, a message that you could see or not see, again, it's always what you bring to it, but interesting. You got a lot of mileage out of this.
Boy,
Mary Ellen, you're the queen of interesting, stencil shapes.
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah.
And Mary Ellen also sort of brought into the class the first time around. And we haven't really talked about this, but using a glue gun to create a stencil, which is
Oh.
so much fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
That's a
that
whole
was
other, see,
you,
never
Mary
done.
Ellen.
Never done. But that's
Yeah.
another one that Mary Ellen has brought in. Yeah, okay, how about this one?
This one was black and white.
Mm,
And I liked all the little fray pieces of yarn, and I thought it looked like a tapestry, but it was kind of like incomplete.
yes.
So I took some nickel azo gold
Yeah,
and thinned it down so it was very thin and put it on the plate and then printed this over it, and it came out quite nice, I think.
It's
Wow.
gorgeous.
I
Was that a
really
open,
love
was that a open acrylic, the gold?
No, well, I used open medium and mixed the
and mixed
nickel
it-
azo gold into that,
Into that? I gotta
make-
try that.
an open paint.
So you did it all over everything? It was
Yes.
a black and white. That is
That's
beautiful.
yeah, it's
Oh,
totally, yeah.
I
mean,
saw this last night and I couldn't get over it. I was just like, how did you do that?
Like,
yeah, it is so.
like going
This
off
looks
into
like
an
a-
underworld. Look at that. Oh my.
The
God.
This looks like
complexity
a
that you
print
got in
from
here.
like the 1600s.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yes.
yes, absolutely.
Also, it has this sort of strangely photographic look to it, doesn't it? It
Well,
really
it's
has- yeah.
the shape of the yarn going through it. And like the other one, it's like this underworld. It's like underneath the ground and into the woods, or it's just,
Yes.
it's so organic, such a organic feel to it,
Yes, it does.
Yes.
really.
I have a lot of others that I did with, pre-existing prints
Yeah.
and, a similar idea.
Mhm.
And, but I think this one came out the best of them all.
Yeah.
Oh, this
So-
is, it's amazing.
So what are all of the, I mean, it's like roots. When you go up close, it's like intricate little roots.
Yeah.
What is that from? Is it the yarn that has all
The
those?
threads of the yarn, yeah,
And this is the same eyelash stuff.
yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my God, we all have to get some of this. It's really such an interesting thing to
Get it at
print.
Michael's.
My God, yeah,
Oh,
my God.
And it's called eyelash?
Eyelash yarn.
So funny.
And it's
Wow.
just a piece of yarn that's got all this fuzzy stuff sticking off
Yeah.
of it.
I mean, it's funny because, you've made it speak so sort of dramatically that the word eyelash yarn kind of
I know.
like
Funny.
la la la, it's just like
Yeah.
pretty stuff, but it's like, whoa. This is like, down in the dirt, and it does
Yeah.
have such a kind of an emotional resonance. Wow. All right. Very great.
Well, would anybody mind just a 2-second how it was done? So what black put down on the paper
I
first,
put black on the plate.
and then you put the
And then
yarn
I
on
put
top,
yarn on top of it, and I printed that
and
and
that
it
became the
was
black and white,
black and
and
white
then the gold on top.
on top. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry to
Wow.
be.
The
Oh,
one thing
the white part, the
Yeah,
white
this
part
stuff
that is
here.
now gold, but the white part,
yeah.
that was, so when you printed black, all of that white was covered, was like right in that upper middle part. That was created because there was a lot of yarn there.
Yes.
Interesting.
Oh.
All right, we're all gonna have to.
If you
try.
look close, you'll see all these little tiny lines
Yeah,
Yeah.
coming off of the
Right.
thread, and that's the fuzzy part of the yarn.
Yeah, yes. So interesting.
Mm.
Okay, very good. And I bet the ghost of this was probably pretty interesting as well. So
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Huh.
Not too much of the black came out on the ghost
Ah.
though. So it's very splotchy.
yeah. Great. All right. Well, thank you, Mary Ellen. So we have those two. Let's see who's
Nancy.
Who's next here? Nancy, yeah, let's talk to you about what you've been up to this week here.
So the one on the right,
Ooh.
if we go to the one on the right first.
Okay, this one here?
Yeah, that was the one that was black and white and gray. And I was
Ooh.
afraid to do anything with it.
Oh, wow.
And then one day I thought, oh, get over yourself. And,
Yeah.
and so I painted on it. And the purple is jelly plate on rice paper. And then I had an old collage that I cut up.
Nancy, I think this is, you really just, this is such a
Oh.
wonderfully finished piece and has so much movement through it and it really holds together.
Oh, it's amazing.
So
Yeah, really.
it's more collage. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you, on this thread is what it was in black and white.
Oh, I'd love
Yeah.
to see that. Yeah.
What it was originally, the black and white.
Oh,
And gray,
Okay,
and
let's-
then
Okay.
the peach and the beige.
there it is.
there it
this one.
There it is.
Okay,
on
so
the-
you took
Oh.
this one. That's where it started. All right, great.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's where it started. So that's all jelly plate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you collaged onto that original piece?
I painted on it and collaged on it. So the purplish, the grayish purple, that's jelly plate on rice paper.
Mm,
So you can see through it a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
The beige and the peachy color is all just paint. And then the other stuff is an old piece that had some mono printing on it that I cut up.
Mm.
Right at the top and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh. It's
So
fantastic.
Yes.
it's really like sculpting into it. You sculpted
Mm.
into, like with the white and the peach and it's almost
yes,
sculpting into the,
yeah. What, and a couple of the shapes, I added black to make it, they were too fuzzy.
Mhm.
Mm.
And I made them a little clearer as if I had printed them that way to begin with.
So you like painted it on?
Yes,
So it was a more heavier black paint. So it really stood up with all the other stuff that you had on.
right.
Yeah, I think it's
So-
a really a great example of,
Mm.
taking Jelly Plate to the next step. Really did that so well.
And the X's, the mark making was just added on like at the end, kind of.
Yeah, that,
I
I,
love
there
that.
was
little
mark
I love
making
that too.
On the bottom, but you
Yeah.
have that strategic X up at the top and
Yeah.
some,
See-
that really, the repetition of that.
Yes, exactly. So it makes
Yes.
sense and holds together because we look at
Oh.
this and we're going to look for something
Yeah.
that, don't you find you do that? You look for repetition. We look for,
Yeah, and you see it also over here and over here.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't, it shows that you don't need a lot of it to really be
Yeah.
add drama. Sometimes I get carried away and I'm,
Oh,
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
too. But that's a problem.
Yeah. Very successful, Nancy. But, nice.
How big is this, Nancy?
It's about 24 by 30, I'd say.
Oh, it's big.
Yeah,
Wow.
I got all wound up about repeating jelly plates on big pieces of paper.
Yes.
That's a nice idea.
So
Yeah.
you don't have a large jelly plate, you just print multiple
Yeah,
times.
I have 3 different sizes and I just put them together and pretend it's a big one. And I
Oh.
don't care that you see the seam,
Oh,
and the stencil just goes over all 3, like
Oh.
you're doing a stencil.
well, that's a good idea. For
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I like that.
Wow.
All right. And so then we talk about these other ones here.
Yeah, that was one I'd shown before that needed something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did some glazing over and some painting in.
Great.
And that's a little bit cropped. And then the one to the left, I think might work better. It's a little more cropped.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know what you all think.
I like them both.
Yeah. Can
Yeah.
I see the other one again?
Yeah, I think to see that too.
Yeah.
I
think
like
what we
Well,
talked
it's
about was,
different. You know, this creates a vertical kind of sense
yeah,
more than the other. I like them both.
Like
Yeah.
it's very a living, it's almost like a person standing up, a tree. It's like a living presence there amidst that background, but there's a strength in the body of the tree there that's
Mm.
something.
yeah. I think that you did a great job.
Oh,
Um,
and that's the one where I remember now, you painted.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
And
it's,
I think the background is so interesting,
Mm.
but it doesn't take away from the tree. It works so well. The balance. I really think
Yeah.
it's a great piece there.
The subtlety of the colors there.
yeah, it really, and we can see that you used your ghost here, you know, it's just a.
yeah, my ghost of a ghost. Yeah.
Yeah.
That section, that gray section that you were just circling around there,
Yeah,
that's,
this is,
there's something
yeah.
there that's,
So I think that some of this is, we had talked about in another, I don't know if it was in our last class, maybe I guess it was, where we had said maybe that the white was very powerful and was really competing a bit too much
Right.
with the
Yeah.
drawing. So when you just put just a layer of a watered down color, it can just calm down the white. You know, white is very powerful. It's really, you know, it brings a lot of contrast. So sometimes it just needs to be calmed down.
So do you think it's calm enough?
I do think it's much
Okay.
calmed down. Yes, I do think you did a great job. And I'm liking this one better, I think.
Me
because of
Yeah,
the
I
way
think
you
I am
cropped it.
too.
Yeah.
Me too. That's mine.
Yeah.
B. But did you put the paint on top of that, Nancy? Like, how did you?
I did, and I had to be careful because I'd put some charcoal down,
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
right.
and I had to be careful not to blur charcoal across it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So just to make an argument for the other one, and
Yes.
you might crop it differently.
Yeah.
Like I like it, and I feel like I'm leaning much more like representationally more than I thought, because I thought I was very like an abstract oriented person. I like it because it does have more of the tree, and then at the bottom I'm also seeing like a face and hair. So it looks as if the tree is growing out of her head. So I don't know if you could even crop it differently and create,
Oh, I see that.
right?
I didn't see that until you said it.
Yeah, and I wanted everybody to have the conversation first before I pointed it out, because like
I zeroed into that spot there. It's like the flying nun or something. I don't know what.
I used to love
but I feel like it works on like all of these different levels, and you could
Yeah.
like by cropping it and by bringing certain things forward, you can like manipulate what the person is seeing.
Yes,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Mm.
But yeah, and I think what Nancy's trying to do here, it's a, you know, it's a challenge because she's got a very strong drawing with also a very strong design in the background. So, you know, you have to figure out what you want us to focus on. And
Right.
you know, when they compete too much, then the design kind of loses its strength. So it's just kind of like, what do you need to do to make them both work together? It's an interesting problem, and that's, you know, problem solving. It's what art making is, isn't it? Okay, let's see. Anybody else that we haven't looked at yet?
I have a couple of things that I'm going to send to you. So
Okay,
maybe
great.
later
And
on-
Ellen, did you
maybe
put-
later on we can look
I
at.
sent
I
it,
just
Ellen.
realized that, you know, I have been working, and now that I think about it,
Yeah, there you go.
it'd be nice to
Okay.
see it, but I just took pictures of them. I'll send them later on. We can.
Okay, and
Oh.
this is Ellen. So
Oh,
she sent
wow.
some- So
Right.
yes,
I forgot
Ellen,
to turn it, I guess.
Tell us what you're up to here.
Well, actually, from another class,
Mhm.
I made the middle piece, and
Okay,
it was all purple, and it had dots. Remember, we were doing dots?
yeah,
So anyway, I didn't like the dots,
Yeah.
so I took a hole puncher. And I
Good. I
took
love
the
it.
dots
Oh,
out.
wow. What a good idea.
And then for the middle, I just cut at them, you know.
yeah,
And then I have some like dyslexia. It's really, really hard for me to do printmaking because I want to change the process. I want to keep piling it on,
mhm,
like adding like collage, you know,
yeah,
instead of hiding things, you know.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
anyway, so I painted some other colors, the green and the tannish caramel orange, orange. And then I printed more of the caramel color.
oh, yes, 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 you can see that.
Oh,
So you're getting really beautiful painted surface, really, is what you're doing here. And monoprinting is painting. I mean, that is what we're doing here. It's just
That's so
slightly,
cool.
it's a different kind of, yeah, this is really engaging. And Ellen, the fact that you're kind of creating this shape, you know, against white, you know, it becomes an object, this interesting grouping here. With this wonderfully fun, you know, playing of the circles seeming to be filled and not filled. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because you have the blue here that pops and seems like it's on top, and then these are behind. But yeah, really, really super interesting. And yeah, I mean, the fact that, you know, what you're doing here is collaging, and it's just a wonderful use of the process. Really fun to see that.
And then
And,
I sent another copy, the third one. Yeah, that's, I was playing
Oh.
around
Fun.
of
Wow.
different ways to deal with it, you know.
Oh, I like that. Especially. That's
Yes.
were you inspired by that work? I was inspired by it, and it looks like I was trying to figure out how to use it, but the that person who you sent the link of her work to, who took your class, and she
Oh, yes.
created these
Oh,
Yeah.
biomorphic shapes like this
Flavia.
one, and created these other colored that were placed behind it.
Yes.
Were you inspired by looking at those?
No.
Did that? I'm
Okay,
impressed.
fine.
I'm impressed. It's like adding an element of layers, but of real pieces
Yes, yes.
that
I think, Ellen, one thing that, you know, you'll want to really think about is how much white space you are using to mount on. That's going to be very critical. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
you know, we can't see where this little piece ends, but to me, that's important. Like, I think this really works very well. Like, you've got the placement of the white. So the white ends up being a really important part of the composition. And so whether this goes right off the edge is really important to how we view it, or whether it's also got, you know, enough on the other side will be, you know, your margins and how this all relates is going to be important. But it is really fun to see that, yes, you guys can all play with, you know, making shapes within and putting other colors behind. That's all on offer. And, you know, I think what you've done here, Ellen, with your colors is really super interesting.
and the
Mm.
whole thing is just fabulous.
I
love it.
know. I love that.
What a good idea. Yeah.
But it
How
must
big
be a
is this?
big
How
hole
big-
puncher.
How big is this, Ellen?
Oh,
Okay.
that's the
Can you
hole
see it
puncher.
again? Will
Yeah.
you hold it up again?
Oh, yeah.
can-
So it's a big hole. Yeah. Big hole you're
The
making.
big hole.
And they come a lot bigger. You know,
Huh.
you can get really big.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen those. They're like stamps almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
A good investment.
How big is this, Ellen?
Oh,
Oh,
I don't know. I'd say like maybe 16 inches long.
Hmm. super. Yeah, a nice
But I
size.
mean, I don't really know if it's done. I mean, because you're
Yeah.
right, white,
Right.
you know, I obsess. I'm like an obsessive compulsive and I'm
Well,
constantly
it's hard not to.
Yeah.
moving things. I mean, it's
Oh.
ridiculous. I actually can't decide if art is good for me or like
Oh,
just, you know, too challenging. And because the obsession overtakes me at times.
It's good for
Yeah.
you, Ellen. It's good for you. It's,
I mean, I think,
Yeah,
it's too beautiful. What you're doing is just too beautiful for it not to be.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
I
Thank you.
agree.
Thank
Think
you.
of it like a jigsaw puzzle.
it is.
Jigsawing.
And I
You
mean,
know,
I think, you know, we're
pieces.
also, we can really benefit, you know, from the fact that we have these easy, you know, ways of recording. So you don't really ever have to decide, you know, take lots of pictures and then, you know, just enjoy that.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Unless you're forced to finally, you know, make a choice, you know, like that, but that's good. I mean, it is. And that's kind of the fun part of the art making process is well, it can be fun, but I understand what you're saying. Okay, great. Did you want us to look at the middle one too?
Well, I put it there. It's a lot of different prints that I made,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just like so different than the other. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
trying
but
to
you know what
find-
fun that is. Yeah. So
Wow.
these
So
are,
those are collage together?
Yeah.
yeah, very fun, very interesting to do that too.
Very nice.
So again, you know, those of you who are wondering what next, that's another thing to think about is, you know, mixing and matching, you know, what and what keeps this collage, you know, working well, I think is the repetition, right? You kind of have a theme going on, which is a loosely defined, you know, sort of geometric, you know, a square, rectangle, whatever, that is repeated. Elements of the rectangle are repeated, and then this the triangle that, you know, we find throughout. So those are the kinds of things that repetition of color. The blue is here, the violet is here again, you know, so that's such an interesting thing to play with. Great, well, thanks. Let's see, anybody else?
I really like that. I like the graphic part of it. I love those strong graphic shapes, and they're not perfect, but they fit together so
Yeah.
beautifully the way
Yeah,
you've done that.
very fun, very fun.
Thank you.
Okay, and Kitty, did you send anything yet, or shall we just move
I
on?
did.
You did,
I did.
okay,
And
let's go back
just
to,
sending another one to just a quickie, just to-
okay, and is this on the Painterly print one, or did you email?
I just emailed it to you
Oh,
because
okay,
that's
go back to, all right,
did it.
great, very good. Okay, yes, here we go. Okay, oh, all right. yeah.
Wow.
You know,
Wow, so,
what I did is I took this, you know, I'm down in Florida and I don't have a lot of stuff with me, but I'm kind of taking advantage of some of the stuff that I do have. And I had this long roll of this kind of netting stuff.
yeah,
And I pulled I frayed it, you know, I cut the edges off and I frayed it a lot.
mhm,
So I put one piece down and I did the yellow, and this one, the yellow covered everything except the white. And I just pressed down a little bit in some places where you see the yellow through the threads.
yes.
But
Yeah.
I love the frayed part of it. So I kind of, and then I cut it up and I did it again with I did yellow, and then I did the blue on top, and I kind of cut it up and had the two frayed edges coming from a couple of other ends, and just started. And then I had some red, so then I just put some dots in, and I kind of took that swirl of stuff and I pulled out some of the threads the long way too. But I just love the effect.
Mm, gorgeous.
Just
Is it fabric or is it
it's
plastic?
No, it's I know, you can't see me as I'm
Yeah, we can see you,
stuff
yeah.
up. Okay. It's just this, you know, 5-inch wide netting that has these,
Show us
like
now.
some of those Where
you
am I? Oh, here I am.
Wonderful, very cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So if I press down on top of the
Ah,
paper, the
Yeah,
little,
yep, you're
you
there.
know, it gets that effect, you know, and
Yeah.
then I pulled a lot of, you know, I pulled a lot of this out and I pulled some of these long strands out. So it was, you know,
Yep,
like the, so, but I'm
yeah,
kind of, you know, what do I do with it? I don't know. I just wanted to just do some things. I just didn't have it to think big and develop an idea. So,
oh, well,
but
no,
as
but-
I
Love
realized,
it.
it was
It's
fun.
beautiful.
Yeah, and I added
Yeah.
some dots to it and I like the
yeah.
dots.
How did you do the purple dots then? Do you have some kind of a thing that you just
have,
printed
you know,
with or?
No, I have I have this whole, I don't know if I got it at Michael's. Or
Stencil thing.
it's a
Oh, it's a stencil? Yeah, that covers a lot.
whole book of paper cardboard stencils and I put the yellow down, I just pressed down only in a couple of spots.
Great.
You know, I
Yeah.
didn't do the whole thing. It was kind of random.
That sounds like a wonderful thing to use, that book there. I have to.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it, like,
Michael's has some really great stuff there. You know,
Yeah.
really, it's just a wonderful resource for this kind of printmaking. So much stuff there.
And
Yeah.
this
Oh,
is just
wow.
an example, you know, I got that Van Gogh book and I really love the paper of it. So I just did a stencil on top of this. I might take it somewhere else, you know, it's all in German, so the words
Wow.
don't mean anything, but
Yes.
there's something that I could do with this and I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but there's just really interesting. There's something about this and some of the other things in this that just make me, I could do something with some of these images in terms of
You could do a
people,
whole,
the people of Ukraine, like I'm seeing the pain and suffering in some of these pictures and they're old, they're from the, I don't know, when did he paint? 18, I guess it was the 1800s, but it was
Yes.
still in
Mm.
1880,
1880, yeah, and
That's,
but he was in Delft, right? He was one of the, but the images of the faces, you know, are so powerful because I just look at them and I think of the people from Ukraine. I think of seeing that pain and suffering of life on their face, and it just, you know, I could do
Yeah.
something with
you
that.
would make an amazing series.
Yes.
Oh. Ah,
Hmm.
If, you know, you kept going and making
Yeah.
a series.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I'd like to do that.
You know, which I was going to say, you know, and some of you who have worked with me before, you know that I would encourage folks to stay with an approach for a while. Once, you know, and I mean, certainly not in a class where you're just learning the technique, but, you know, once you have a feeling for it and you've decided that something is really interesting and exciting, you want to see where it goes, it's a really good idea to stay with something for a while and produce what we would call a body of work. And that is, you know, kind of like going even deeper and really delving into, you know, trying with a limited sort of set of parameters to keep going in that direction for a while,
Yes.
whatever that means. you
Limited,
know?
that's key, a limited set of parameters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I want to find, because otherwise I get, you know, I can just get,
Yeah, well, it's very true for all of us. But, you know, for example, you could keep going with just using this particular, you know, element over and over again and do 20 prints. And they'd all be different, Katie, but they would all be connected. And that would be, you know, a kind of the body of work that you produced along with these lines, or the thing of taking an old book and, you know, doing a print on each page. So that's what, you know, that is the artist's practice. You kind of, then you leap into having a practice, which you kind of commit yourself to. That's what being an artist is. There it is. It's nothing more than that. It's committing yourself to, you know, continuing to do it, delving into it, rather than just kind of sporadically playing here and there. The artist practice is staying the course on something, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Staying the course on it though. So yeah, very interesting.
Katie, I mean, the image is great, and then your color selection, it also works really, really well. I feel like I'm drawn to it more than you are.
Isn't it funny how, having someone else look at it, it's like that step away, you
Yeah.
know?
Yep, exactly. That's too funny.
It's a great composition.
Mhm.
There's something about those frayed edges.
Yeah.
Now that I look at it.
But it's, there again, it's like what Mary Ellen was using her frayed edges, but by the eyelash
Yeah.
stuff, there's something powerful, and there is a metaphor for the frayed edges, so
It's
you can
worn.
look at it that way, or you can just look at it simply as in its formal qualities, formal meaning the elements of design. It can be just what it is, and it can also be a metaphor. Both ways, both things are true, so there you go. All right, well, thank you so much. This was really
There's a
exciting.
couple of more there.
Oh, there are. Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't mean to short-shrift you here. Wait a minute.
That's okay. We don't need
Uh,
to. take a lot.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There were a couple more in the,
Wait, did we look at this one already?
Yeah, I thought we
yeah, we
did.
saw
Right, I
that.
saw that.
Yeah, and then there's another email that I sent,
Okay, there you go. Okay.
and it has the sailboat thing.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of really had fun because I found I found some really interesting paper. I was at Michael's, as a matter of fact, on sale for 25 cents. And they were really interesting colors. So I did some fun stencils on them and reverse stencils, and I just saw the ocean, and I
There you
had
go.
the memory of a song. And so this is a couple of versions of putting something that appeared as a sail, but I thought of that I could do something that represented a sail, but I could write this song that I learned, and it was in French, and it was back, I don't know, when I was a kid, or maybe I was a teenager, and it was in French, and it was about it was from the Singing Nun. It was a song that the Singing Nun sang in French, and that's why it was on the tip of my tongue. And I thought I could write the words. I could use the words and write them in French and do something with that. So anyways, but
Yeah,
I'm not crazy. That's what I mean by too much of a sailboat there and it looking,
it becomes a little too literal for you.
it's too literal. Yeah.
Hmm.
So anyways,
Yeah.
we'll see we'll see.
Still, yeah, you
I
don't
like the
know.
idea of maybe printing something else on top of it.
Yeah.
That can be more abstract, that I could use shapes and repeat it. And then I could write the words on it or something like that. But
Yeah.
that's it.
But yes, I mean, we don't know what we like until we do it, and that's
Yeah.
why it's important to try these things out and not
Yeah.
be afraid, don't get stuck in, I shouldn't do this or
Yeah.
shouldn't do that, but that's how you learn.
Thank
Okay, great, everybody. That was really very interesting to see. I don't want myself pinned here. I seem to be pinned. I don't know what my own gallery view here. Okay, great. So we have just about an hour left, and I wanted to just kind of tie up loose ends here. Since our last class, I always like to have students process what you've been through, and it's always good, even if we don't get around to doing this today, but to ask yourself, what are you going to take with you from this class, and how are you what are you going to take away with you from this experience here, this last 10, I can't believe it's been 10 weeks. It just has gone very quickly for me. but 10
Really?
weeks seems like a
Me
long
too.
time. Anybody have thoughts about, what are some of the things that you'll want to keep working with, or, ways of thinking that have changed you somehow? Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, like what you were saying about like parameters and sticking with something. Because I feel like I come to the plate with an idea.
Yeah.
And then one of the important things, I bought like a stack of paper that I really like. that I
Mhm.
really like to print on. And I like, at first I got like 50 sheets, right? And then I went through that like very quickly.
Yeah.
So then I got another, I got a whole box.
Uh-huh.
And so now I feel really free. So I can do
Mhm.
30 like in a sitting
Yes.
and feel like I'm not like hindered.
Yes.
And then I go back to the 30 and then chop them up or like do whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I love that. Because sometimes like with art, like you just sit in front of a blank canvas and it's just too much. So
Right.
I love the idea of being able to print a lot and then figure out or maybe start with parameters, print a lot,
Yeah.
and then do variations and whatever. So I like mentally, I'm like, I feel like there are different ways that you can probably categorize each different kind of art making process,
Yeah.
right? Like oil paints, you have to be really anal and you have like, or sketching, it's all about like trying to capture something perfectly.
Uh-huh.
This fits my personality so much better
Uh-huh.
that you can just like start working and then deal with the result. So
Well, it is, and I've always found that this is a great way into art making for that very reason, Tammy, because it is a freer sort of process for sure, and delightfully, you get that experimental and surprising result. But yeah, the very hard to sit in front of a white sheet of paper. And unfortunately, people think that you need to do that to make art, and then it stops them in their tracks. So I'm all about helping people find ways into the process so you can just jump right in without that horrible barrier. So I think printmaking does that. So yeah, that's great. I'm happy to hear that for you, Tammy. Anybody else have anything
Well,
on that?
As you all know, I am in love with trying to do the big ones
Yes.
with the dark, the second, and the ghost.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was interesting is I had those two that I was having trouble with. And so I don't have much wall space. I did hang them on the wall and kind of let them perk in my brain,
Yeah.
and then decided to dive in. And I think it was better that I let them perk for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just being there,
Yeah.
Yes.
and then it was, then you were like ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
I'm not sure that was very articulate, but you know what I mean.
Totally
No,
understand that.
I think that's sort of, one of the things that, you can remember about your art making is that you don't have to be making art to be working on your work, and
Right.
sometimes it's a really good thing to just kind of live with it. Put it up in your room or your kitchen where you see it at a glance, and just let your intuition will start to call you, and maybe the answer will come from just kind of having it around. That's great to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that you dove in there.
My thoughts.
I love the percolating.
Percolating
Yeah.
is important, really an important part of the process. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I found that the percolating, sometimes the work marries together better
Mhm.
as you let it sit and the
Yeah.
colors kind of change.
They do.
And it comes to be something very different than what you started with.
Yes, that is true. I've noticed that too. The colors seem to, I'm not sure, maybe deepen a little bit. You're right. They do change it slightly, very slightly. And it's really great to not make too much of a big decision before you kind of let them sit for a while. Great to know.
For me, I think the idea, and I've taken, a lot of classes with you since, since you started doing the Zoom classes. And each time I learn, because painting abstractly is new for me, but what I get in each class is I learn different springboards into starting a painting, whether it's, contour drawings or whatever it is, or, but practical things with homework and you produce and then you build some more stuff. And I find, I mean, I love monoprinting. There's something crafty about it that I love, that it's playing in the mud for me, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and loving it. But part of this process of having all these springboards in that it's like playing, then it gets to another point, like, okay, now what do I do with all this stuff? And that idea of percolating is, if I don't have that moment of stepping back and not feeling too precious about any of the stuff that I did, which, you know, but also know when something's done, but to be able to step back and allow the next stage of that process to happen or to unfold.
Right.
And I'm finding that that's what I'm learning. I'm learning in this class, like right now, you know, and the stuff that we've talked about. Okay, how do I take all the stuff that I've learned and I've created to, you know, carry it further, you know?
Exactly. And that's, you know, the purpose of showing you the books, for example, and, you know, that's one simple way to, you know, make it go further, to extend it to the collage, you know, but yeah, and that is the next step for everybody, is, you know, learning how to, you know, yeah, where you want to go with it. What feels satisfying, what's of interest to you. Yeah, exactly. And why a book as opposed to something on the wall? You know, why work bigger? Why work on fabric? You know, all of these things are part of the artistic process. Yeah. Anybody else want to weigh in with a last?
I had one other thought.
Yeah.
Nancy says that she wants to work big
Yeah.
and to expand. I'm content to work small.
Mhm.
Yeah, me too.
By 10 is fine.
Yeah.
I have tried to go bigger than that.
Yeah.
It turns into a mess.
Okay.
So I'll be very content with my 8 by 10 jelly.
Absolutely.
I might go 12 by 12. but
Yeah. Yeah.
18 by 24? No,
Yeah.
not this
Okay.
year.
Yeah. 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 Oh, great. Anyone else?
Is there a magic element that when you do go bigger, you have to contend with, or is there something?
Well, I do think that when you go bigger, yeah, you know, physically and everything else, it challenges you, you know. And so I think that one of the reasons I do art is to be challenged. So, you know, some people, you know, and I always like to present it because some people it will, you know, really excite them and other people no, but that's fine. You know, being able to use the jelly to create, you know, to think about how you would work on a bigger scale and what to do with that bigger space can be exciting and challenging. And that's why you would want to do it, because you already know how to do something else, or it's not of interest to you, or it feels limited, you know. And I think that's the other thing too, is that as you work and do more and more art, you sort of you feel like what size feels comfortable to work. I have a hard time working small. I've always just ended up, hence why I'm now doing room size things. You know? I mean, it just feels like I want to be able to work with the whole size of my body. Other people know, you know, they're much more content to work on small, and they want it, you know, the viewer to have an intimate experience, and they themselves want to have an intimate experience with the work. So it just, you know, everybody's going to find what works for them, but you don't know until you try. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
No other way to know it. You just got to try it. So if you felt really frustrated by working big, then, you know, clearly it isn't something that you wanted to do, but maybe not now, but maybe later, who knows? So, you know, all bets are off, but yeah.
I have a technique question.
Yeah.
Like you know, I'm moving into a studio, and so I've been going through all my papers trying to organize, but I've been trying to organize for 70 years now. So anyway, but I found some old papers that I don't really love that are painted.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm thinking of printing on top of, but is there a secret to it? Sometimes it seems to work, sometimes it doesn't work well at all.
I guess, what are these papers coated with? Like, what are they?
Acrylic. They're acrylic.
Oh, they're acrylic. Yeah, well, I think sometimes if the surface is, very plastic, it might be trickier for the kind of, printing we've been doing where, you don't need all that much ink. Like on a white sheet of paper that's very absorbent, a thin coat of acrylic that we've been using is great. It comes out, really sufficiently saturated and dark. But on a very plastic surface, that's not absorbent, you may end up needing a lot more paint.
Oh, okay.
So it's just
Okay.
think about that,
Okay.
which actually brings me to, if it's okay, just to talk a little bit quickly about fabric printing.
I would love
Cool.
that.
Oh, go ahead.
great.
Kate, did you,
I
Yeah.
just had
go ahead.
just very quick question. You know the videos that you have been putting up? Will we be able to continually access them? Because
Yeah.
I feel like, oh great.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
like,
they're-
there's things I want to go back to, like, how did we do that black thing?
Yeah. They're just all on YouTube. They're on YouTube. You can
They're
you can follow my channel,
Oh, I'll
Okay.
follow the channel,
definitely.
definitely.
subscribe or something like that. But they're there always. Anyway,
Thank
even
you.
if you don't, But if you do follow me, you'll be able to go directly to that channel, and they're all there. Otherwise, you have to go find them. But if you just put Idria Arch in to YouTube, you'll find all of them coming up.
Great, thank you.
Oh yeah,
They're
they'll
very
be there.
helpful and very well done. Thank you.
Oh,
Amy.
Yeah, they're great to be able to go back to.
Yeah, because you may not have gotten what or you were like, oh, that's that. How do you do that again? Because I forgot, because I haven't been
Yeah,
using it. Yeah,
this,
it's good to know.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so
Fine.
I wanted to just, talk a little bit about the fabric, because we did talk about it. And yeah, I mean, for as our last class, although I know some of you are continuing Fridays, but what to do with some of these processes if you are somebody who likes fabric. There's no reason why you can't do these processes on fabric. And then, once they're on fabric, gosh, there's really no limit to, what you can do with sewing and cutting and, making clothes with them, or bags, or quilting. And so, one of the things that, let me just show you really quickly. One of the things that I did a while ago, and this is when I was learning monoprinting. I learned on a press, and of course I was using oil-based inks, but just to quickly show you, something that I did with them. So this is the whole thing. I have been holding it onto it all these years. I think I did this in the 90s, but this whole thing is about, how big is it? I'm going to say 3 feet by 4 feet, something like that. Anyway, it's big. It's quite big.
Yeah.
And I've been, it's all creased because I had been storing it folded up, so excuse these in here, but this is all done with monoprinting techniques. These were stamp printed, meaning that I made a matrix and put ink on them or paint, and I simply pressed them into a piece of fabric. So that's how these were done on the side. And this was done on a piece of flannel. And so what I wanted to also just tell you, if you haven't done printmaking on a piece of fabric yet, I have found that it works better if you use a fabric that is very closely woven. You're going to be happier with the outcome if you do that. So that's why flannel was great. I thought, wow, flannel, that's weird. Why flannel? But now I understand why. And so I also just took a couple of short close-ups for you, just so you can see. And then I quilted all of this. So that, I sewed these things together, like the middle part was separate, right? And then I had, these stamp printed pieces that were all on one long piece of fabric, where the background was, beige in this case and blue in the other. And then I ended up quilting to give it, and sort of gave it an extra sort of nice texture.
Have you tried printing on sheer fabric?
Well, I actually tried to buy some last week and didn't end up getting something that was sheer enough. But yeah, you can print beautifully on sheared fabric. I was
Yeah.
going to say that, yeah, as long as it's, yeah, there's some caveats, and that's what I wanted to talk to all of you today about that. And then,
Did you use a press to do this, or is it just your hands?
so this was just hand printed. This is just stamp printing.
Oh, wait a second. So you did the quilting yourself
I
you-
did.
in the machine? So you went.
Not a
over-
machine. I hand quilted
And
it.
You
Oh,
did
nice.
it?
Yeah.
Hand
Oh
quilted
my-
it.
Goodness, wow.
I know. I've never done that before, and I have never done it since, actually.
Yeah, right. I can understand why. So the pad, the outside of this rounded triangle,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
part of the print part of the stamp that you did? Take away the quilting part? You
Yes.
just, it was like one stamp and it
Yeah.
had those lines going out from the tree or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So these are two different stamps.
Two different stamps. Yep.
Matrices, you know, they were a piece of,
Yep.
of foam core board that I glued onto another sheet of foam core
Yep.
board. Yeah, so that's, you know, you can do that. And we have learned that, and that was something that I decided to use for the outside. And I made, yeah, I think first I printed this. This was on, you know, on a big plate. That's, you know, and when you do it in with a press, an oil-based ink or the new soy-based inks now, Akua inks that people use, you would, you know, put your paint onto a plexiglass plate or something like that. You know, the gel plates are stand in for having to use a big, you know, heavy roller printing press, because you know, that's the way we would transfer the paint before. But now with the jelly, you don't you need to do it because the jelly is so flexible.
Yeah.
So so this is meant to be a wall hanging.
Yeah,
And if you washed it, all the paint would go away.
No, because this is all acrylic. No,
Oh,
well,
wow.
in this case, the paint was oil-based paint. So it's not going to go anywhere. No, but I wouldn't recommend washing this a lot, you know, for sure not. But when you print with acrylic, it isn't going to go anywhere, really. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that, though. I wanted to continue this conversation, but I just wanted to show you something that you can do with printing on fabric if you wanted to do, which is to make a quilt or to make a hanging out of it, or to, you know, make a piece that is made of fabric. That is something that we can do. You can all do that. Okay, so then I went to show you too that how you might do this. So I did a little experiment. So hold on a second. Now I have to bring up my. Hold on here. My documents, my desktop. Hold on. So I made a video to show you how you could print, just to you know, to actually show you, because you may be wondering, well, how do you even do it? So let me just bring that up in a second here. There we are, online classes, and okay, I'm hoping that it's in here. All right, you know what? I did do this. I just need to find it. What I want to do first, though, is to show you this little video and to kind of talk you through it. What I did was I found a video on the Jelly Plate printing website. They have wonderful videos. And after this class is done, you know, if you ever want to learn more techniques, they have a zillion. I mean, that's part of what they do, and to keep people buying jelly plates is to keep on showing different people's, you know, different artists do little demos on how they do their things. I think a lot of it is just technique. It's not the art part of it, which is where I'm like, I hope that I'm presenting a different thing than they are. So, you know, but it is good for little things like this. So I actually found this, and they talk about printing on cotton muslin that is stabilized on freezer paper is a good way to print. So let me just show this with you without the sound and kind of talk you through, you know, some of their techniques. To stabilize the fabric, iron the wrong side of a fabric to shiny side of a freezer wrap. That just keeps it stable. It keeps it from being too,
Oh.
you know what I mean? Like it just, yeah, see like this, it's not, you know, and the muslin is very light. So it depends on the kind of fabric you're using. The one that I did was we actually have this fabric here that I was showing, we'll show you later. It is actually, what is this? This is fabric that you can iron onto fabric to keep it stiffer. I forget the name of that.
Yeah. the
Interfacing.
Interfacing, thank you.
Yeah.
This is just interfacing fabric. I wasn't crazy about it because I didn't, I felt like well, I think it was partly my fault, but not realizing that I had to use a whole lot more paint on the surface of the jelly. And, you know, I had much more success by actually painting a line on, but this is going to give you a little bit different anyway. So let's say that that's a good thing to do to keep it stiff. So you could do that. All right. And this is something that you can do too. So she's showing you that before you even get started, you can take a little
Stamp.
print, yeah, like these little stamp printing images, and make a print, like I did, a stamp print right on the fabric before you go into the jelly part. So and what she's doing is using sticky paper, contact paper, or something else, and just sticking it right on there so that this part is going to be permanently protected.
Mm.
All right, so now what she's doing here is she is just getting some a color made, and let me just go back to showing you what that was. She was showing you
Like
to
cold
add to this, there is a golden product, hold on. It is GAC 900. This is meant for fabric printing. This keeps the fabric, this keeps the paint really stable and allows you to wash your fabric over and over and over again. So you can add a little bit of this particular medium to your paint if you want to. My opinion is that if you're not going to wear it,
Yeah.
the acrylic really should stay on your fabric pretty permanently, because as you know, if you get acrylic on your clothes, it doesn't come off.
Once it dries.
If it dries, that's it, you know. So
You can use hand sanitizer on the paint on your clothes,
Really?
and it will release it from the fabric.
Yeah, you can certainly use.
Oh,
different
that's
things.
a hot tip.
Yeah, and also rubbing alcohol. Well, that's what's in hand sanitizer. Rubbing
Yeah.
alcohol will also take paint off of your clothes if you get it on. And also
Before
mercury
it
oil
goes
soap.
through the washer and the dryer.
Yeah, yeah.
Once it goes through the dryer, you're cooked.
Woo!
Sarah,
Sarah got the F-bomb here. Thank you. I love it. Mary Ellen for posterity.
Okay, they might be here.
You know, you're right. So that's my opinion. You can use this if you're thinking of making something that you know you're going to use a lot and wear it, whatever, then 900 is great. And I would totally, you know, suggest that you can use it. But again, I think it depends on what you're trying to do, because I know that this adds another expense, you know. Make sense, everybody? Okay. So let's just get to the painting of it then. So here she's mixing it up, making her, you know, her stuff ready to go. Okay,
And
this jelly plate is
Does
large.
this need to be open acrylics or just regular?
No, it doesn't need to be. It doesn't
Okay.
need to be, but you can be. You know, the open acrylic just gives you that longer drying time, as we all know. But look, she's going really pretty quickly. No, she's speeding it up, you know. But she's doing a real quick application of a lot of stuff that some of you have already known, all right? Okay, now she's transferring this, right, to the fabric that's got the freezer wrap on the other side, right? That's what she did to stabilize it, to keep it flat. I don't necessarily think you need it, but you could use it, right? So she's working very quickly. Remember, she covered the little stamps
Right,
with
right,
something
right.
that's protecting that for forever while she's doing a single printing, right? Okay, we're gonna watch her. She has used her paint quite thickly. I'm gonna underscore that.
And the print, the design
Yeah,
is on the cloth. That circle design
yes.
stamp is on the cloth. and
All
she-
right, right here. And now
Yeah.
she's gonna show you, you can take it off. All right, there's an unprinted area on this piece of fabric. Print the plate again for a ghost print in that area. You could do that too, yeah. Ghost print could be fun to add to it, you know, but look what she's doing. Now she's taking off that sticky paper. And you can do this with paper, with your paper prints as well, you know, but that's how she's preserved that really fun target shape.
Wow.
So this is all on fabric. It could easily be on paper, but this is on fabric, just so you can see. I'm not sure what she's doing here. We'll see.
Those are stamps that she's just embossing.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I think she's just doing it again, just to show you. That's what this is like a repeat of what she just did. Yeah. So very cool. She moved that piece of fabric down further so that she can get this wasn't covered all the way, which you can do. And then she's saying, you know, you can add more things to the paint. You know, you can use these special markers that are, you know, good to go in terms of being pretty permanent. And if you wanted to outline it, if you felt the need, you wanted to do that, you could do that. Metallic paints are very fun. And then she's showing you here how you can do a similar thing on black fabric or black paper, which we haven't, you know, really gone into either, but that's another one of the many, you thought you knew it all about jelly plate printing now. Thought you were done, no. But remember what she's doing here is she's lifting the
Yeah.
image, right? She's not printing, she's actually lifting. it.
So that is a stamp and she's lifting the
Yeah,
paint off with
That's
it
right, that's right.
just by pressing down on it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And- And so you could just flip that onto paper too, right?
You
If
could
you
flip
didn't-
it onto paper. Oh, yeah, exactly. This is going to be, if for the paper application, this is going to be a little wet. You know,
I see.
she's got a lot of paint on here,
Yeah,
but it's fine for the
Got
paper, for the fabric. Why? Because the fabric is very absorbent. Remember, you know, it's a different kind of an animal. It's
Yeah.
very absorbent. It's like your good paper, but even more so. So when you have a lot of paint, don't have to worry too much about the fabric because you know that extra blobby stuff that on something that's, you know, less absorbent is going to be blobby, but it's not going to be as blobby when you print it on fabric.
So I just realized though, you have to use the open acrylic on the jelly plate.
No,
Unless you add,
not
doesn't,
if you're going to go really quickly. I mean, that's the thing. The jelly plate allows the open paint just allows that. There, that's very
take your
cool.
time.
Yeah,
Ooh,
more time, exactly.
I
You
see.
know,
So you just have to move really quickly.
you've got to move quickly. That's right.
And if you put a lot of paint on it, that helps so it doesn't dry out, right?
It does, yes.
Yeah,
It's also
okay.
going to give you a different effect.
Okay.
It's true. So yeah, it's all possible. All of this stuff is very much, you know, part of what you can do. So there you go. So I hope, I mean, we don't have time to get into that. If that's something that we can possibly revisit in the Friday class, if those of you who are taking it want to do that. But that's another interesting possibility that might just be right for you. Like to sew, you're somebody who, you know, can see a lot of possibilities with it. That's what you can do with this process. One of the many things.
And then to look at some more stuff, would you like, I'd be interested to seeing other things that are done with cloth, because I'm interested in working.
Yes.
And just go online and look for. like,
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, if you type in, you know, printmaking on fabric for
Okay.
one thing. You know,
Okay.
it won't necessarily be specifically gel printing, but it doesn't matter because, you know, we're just, yeah. Tammy,
Yeah, so I know that when I was shopping for Breyers and stuff, it was right near all of the t-shirt printing
Yeah.
stuff,
yeah,
right? Like the silk screening.
yeah.
So with this technique that you just showed us, could you make like a couple of t-shirts or something?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like it's
Exactly.
kind of
Make
the
a
same
t-shirt.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can take a t-shirt and print right on it. You have to
Yeah.
put something in the inside of the t-shirt so it doesn't go right through the other side.
Right.
People use rolled up newspaper or whatever, just something in there. Yeah. But
Yeah.
sure, you can do it right on a piece of fabric. I mean, right on a piece of clothing already, or you can, you know.
That's
put
a
it on
fun
fabric
idea.
and-
Yeah.
It is, it's really fun. Yeah, it's so.
For those who don't sew. But then if
Yeah.
you do something you don't like, you ruined your shirt.
Yeah, well, there's
They
that.
have, you
There's
can
that.
get, what I brought today, because I have them down here, they
Yeah.
have like a pack of 20 really nice cotton white tea towels. They're huge too. They're
Oh,
Great.
big.
That's
And
a
you get
great.
them on
idea.
Amazon, and and they're just a nice, it's a pretty tight weave.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to use today, and they're big and
That looks great. That
yeah,
looks
That's
great.
a fun
Yes.
nice
idea.
finished, huh? Yeah. And I would, I mean, I suppose you could do stuff as a gift, but this is, it's already hemmed and everything, and I could
Fabulous.
just have a ball with it, like it's a piece of, like it's a canvas. Or
The other thing that I've done is bought already made silk scarves. You can go online and find, you know, they'll sell you a package of 20 white, whatever, 12, 5, whatever. They're really inexpensive. They're already sewed.
edge, yeah.
And I've made, hold
Yeah.
on, let me just get,
Yeah,
hold on a
okay.
second.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You know what else I'm thinking of with what you have there, Katie? I'm always looking to move away from wrapping paper. And that, you know, you could decorate that. I mean, you could use it for
Oh, yeah.
wrapping paper anyway,
And
but
it
you
would-
could
it would be-
decorate
It
it,
would certainly, and it would be reusable.
right?
No,
And then
it's
you give it, it's
beautiful
like part of the
cotton.
gift.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a fun, that could be a lot
That's
of
a
fun.
great idea.
Amazon, you said?
Yep,
Tea
Amazon, just white tea towels, and you get
Mm.
like 20 for, they're less than I don't know, they're less than $1 a piece.
Yeah, there's
They
so
do
much.
it. It's
They're really
So-
nice.
So, you know, back in long time ago, like 20 years ago, I was making these monoprinted scarves. And
Mm.
this was just, you know, that's exactly what this is. This is a piece of silk that came already sewed. And I dyed it and then I printed on top of it with a leaf pattern. But that's something that, you know, one you can do. Yeah. And this is another one. This is
God, there's just so much you could do.
so much you can
Yeah,
do,
with fabric, you know.
yeah. And there's something lovely about working with silk. Silk is a
I love silk.
because
Yeah.
it's so absorbent, you know, really just great. So
Yeah.
many
Yeah,
possibilities,
painting on silk is.
so little time.
Yeah.
But these were not done in a jelly. These were done on a big press because
Press.
this was way
Ah.
before the jellies were even made, you know, yeah.
Can you show us the other side of that silk
Oh,
scarf?
sure. So this one, you know, this is a oh my gosh. Wow. How did I do this? I want to say that,
Yeah, is there another layer?
yeah, it's,
back?
yes,
Yeah.
this is double. This is double. I don't remember how. I really don't remember if I did this or if I bought it this way, but this is nice and
That's
this
pretty
is
tight
two
yeah,
sewed together.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you have a nice group.
Because usually would the print show through very well on the
Yes,
other
yes,
side?
and this is the other side of the one that is not backed.
Oh, that's not, yeah.
But this is not silk. This is what's that fabric that's it feels really nice, but it's a new fabric. It starts with a T. Oh God.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Tencel.
Yeah,
This is
Tencel, yeah.
Tencel. Yeah, and this took it beautifully. And it did come out a little bit on the back, but not a lot. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
really
okay.
fun. I recommend playing with that too. Yeah, I did that a whole, there's not much that I haven't done, you guys.
Yeah.
Covering the bases.
I have two quick questions.
Yeah,
So I did end up buying one of those Speedball, the big one, but
Oh.
you can't use the, you have to use their ink or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of the block printing ink
Mhm.
that in the first class, because I didn't have the other stuff, I
Yeah.
used that. Is there an advantage of using that on cloth? Do you think that the block printing ink that I could use on the big?
It's
how
just
do you
different.
think It's
I
just
don't-
going to
yeah,
be different
it's-
because
it'll
I
be
know
fine.
it does print differently on paper.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it would be fine. I don't see why not. It's just gonna give you different results. You should try it, Katie.
Okay, I
Absolutely.
will.
I really, I always encourage that. See what happens. Yeah, for
I have
sure.
another
Did you,
What
did you
about,
put the ink on the gel plate? Or did you use a different plate when you used
I
the ink?
used the ink, it was a Speedball. It wasn't the jelly plate because I just
Okay,
got
so
a
a different plate.
Speedball one. I didn't make a difference. But I put it on the it was it's a Speedball.
Yeah.
And I got it at like half price and I thought I would, I'd get the
Yeah.
big one, but you can only use the Speedball ink on
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
It
And
doesn't
I don't
say-
think you could use the ink on the jelly plate because it wouldn't come off, right? Is that right?
No, you can.
You can.
You
Yeah.
can.
And it's water, I think
Yeah.
I think this stuff is water.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
could-
water
because somebody
based.
on
did
that.
a nice ink. Was the blue and was it you, Ellen, that did the ink? Anyway, I remember really liking one ink.
Yeah,
one
there's lots
somebody
of,
did.
again,
Yeah.
there's lots of possibilities with it.
Yeah.
The Speedball ink is water-based. It will work on a jelly plate. The problem with, if you want, it's not a problem, but it has white mixed into it. So you can't do transparencies way we've
Oh,
been
yes.
talking, which is
Yeah,
one of the
that's
reasons
right.
why I don't use it. I love to, it's just
I
a
see.
different effect. It's
Yeah.
fine though. Yeah.
It did work. It was different, even though I used it on the Speedball one,
Mhm.
but it was definitely different than
Yeah.
work with acrylic. And I think the acrylic, I kind of, on the jelly plate, I would choose that, regularly over. The paint was just flowed, I don't know what, maybe it was
Yeah,
because,
it's
I
a
don't know
different
what, but it
animal.
was a more consistent,
Yeah.
reliable.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of all these things have like slightly different and just, not bad, but just different kinds of looks, right? And I just wanted to I can't find that video right now, but anyway, just to show you this, I really just did this exactly as you would print with paper. What I did was I had my jelly here and had this piece of fabric that I simply taped to one side just as you would do a piece of paper. And what you see here, it was like this, it's in my opinion, it wasn't coming off very well. It was just too light of an application. And it also could be that this fabric is not very absorbent. And that makes sense because if this is the interface, it's also got something that, it enables you to iron it onto another sheet of another piece of fabric. And so it's probably not as absorbent, but I wasn't, really that happy with this particular kind of fabric. But then, as I said, I took a brush full of paint and put it down on the jelly afterwards and then printed this. And I like that, that's a beautiful mark and it was
And it's
fine.
not stiff. It's not stiff, right? The paint is not stiff.
No, the paint is not stiff. That's right. And that's called a hand, how it feels to the hand. It's a little stiff actually right here, but this is such thin fabric.
Yeah.
So, like I just say, it's all of it is an experiment. You really you have to try it yourselves and try doing different things with it. But there you go. So the other thing that I wanted to do before we're going to have time to actually print today, but I wanted to talk to you about this idea of bringing in representational imagery to your work at this point. And, this sort of ended up being really appropriate for how we started this class today, which was talking about abstraction and talking about, we talked a little bit about, each other's work where we weren't being so obvious about a representation, but still there was, we were able to see something in it. So, you know that I am an abstract artist, so I'm going to tend to kind of go with that in the class, but does not mean that you can't use representational imagery at all. I mean, Nancy brought it in, and several of you others have thought about it in your work, either as an after printing, you know, literally painting on it with some representational imagery. But it always is, it's kind of a little bit of a stopper, because if you are not confident with your drawing skills, it means, you know,
That's
you
my
have to sort of think, right? You think about, well, I want to be representational, but I'm worried about painting. I don't know how to draw it well. But we have at our access here, fingertips, you know, all these representational images from the web that we can download and we can print out, and we can use those easily in a way as silhouettes, stencil imagery. So, you know, just to do one, you know, really, you know, print this out. But I wanted to just, you know, in the little bit of time we have left, to just show you, if you don't already know, I'm going to share something that you may not know about, which is these sites where you can, let me just do this here. So let's just type in butterflies. Like, let's get into here. So if you go to a Google search and type in butterflies, for example, and then we go up here to images, which I already did. All right,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can find, you know, a zillion of these, but you can also find these copyright free images, like right over here. Let's see, oh, where are we?
Is this in Google Images?
This is Google Images, yes, yes. So what I'm looking for yeah, so these
Oh, yeah.
templates or free printable templates that you can find here. And yeah, some of these you don't have to pay for. And you can just go right to the site, and then you can just print them out. And it's just a wonderful source, you know, to do that. There you go. And then, you know, you can cut this out. You don't have to use all the stuff in the inside if you don't want to, but there is an image of a butterfly for you. And you can also print them out at different sizes. So that is such a help. Does everybody know, you know, kind of any questions about how you might get these different sizes? You know,
So the question I had,
Yeah.
I thought it would be fun to try to work with a photograph of me walking the dog in profile,
yeah,
but you can't really do fine detail, right?
you can. You
Yeah.
can. Yeah. And
So
that
it has
is
to be super simplified.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. And because it's a jelly plate, you know, yeah, and these things are small. So you kind of are, you know, that's why this is so great. You know, these flat images where you can just print out, or just even going to a magazine, you know, and finding images that, you know, are sort of big kind of silhouette shapes that you might like. It really, you know, you have to think about, do I want a figure? Do you want, but again, you can just go to even like, let's see, silhouettes, people. You know, suppose you know, there you go. So it's easy to find these things, and they're going to be, you know, probably around the right size for you to use in an 8x10 jelly. So that's another source that you can go to get if you wanted to start to have content, you know, if you wanted to do something about the war, if you wanted to do, you know, something with weapons in it, you know, all these things, or pleasantly, you can do flowers or other kinds of things where you don't have to rely on, you know, a drawing skill to be able to get this content that you want in your work.
So are you saying like, these are ways to, oh yeah, like those different colored people online, to create shapes that you might use?
Yeah, To find
in,
shapes. Yep. Yep.
you know,
And
that
just-
you can use in an abstract way or in a, you know, just to have a shape or break it up into shapes.
That's
And
right.
repeat them as we find shapes and maybe repeat them and stuff like that. Maybe like
Exactly. Exactly.
decode it or fracture it down into different shapes from that. And
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with doing it. It's not cheating. It's not, because all you're doing is you're just, you know, you're getting you're getting a shape. You're going to do something different. That's how I feel too about commercial stencils. Same thing. There's nothing wrong with using them because you're going to be using them differently than anybody else is
Yeah.
going to be using them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Don't feel like it's, you know, really.
Yeah, that really freed me up. I have to say, I was like,
Yeah.
stencils? Where people
Oh,
can
yes,
use stencils?
so
Because
much
I
fun.
don't really know how to draw. I'd like to take maybe a drawing class, but you know, thank you for that.
Absolutely. You know, yeah, because we don't want these things to be in our way. Like if you have
Yeah.
something you want to say that really need an image of a person, you can find it and just make it your own by cutting it out and whatever. You're going to be printing it in a different way, colors, whatever, where it is, you know, feel free to do that to get what you need.
so you
know?
can use that in all kinds of ways, whether it's cutting it out in collage, or you could create a stencil, or I don't know what.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, simply printing it
Break
out on a piece
over
of
it or-
printer paper, this is
Yeah.
fine to use as a stencil. This is great. It might not be great, you know, like 50 times, but you can certainly, you know, do this enough to get a lot of mileage out of it. Maybe all you needed is once, or, you know, you can do, when you cut that shape out of the butterfly, you have the negative and the positive. You have two. So
Yeah.
Right, right.
you know, it really opens worlds. And I didn't know, you know, I mean, you got to play around for a while on the web and you can find these sources, you know. Yeah.
And that's a really fun thing. And we see that with the gel print is we can, like if you're making a stencil, or you can use the positive and the negative if you're making it yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Depending
really
upon what you
limitless.
want to show.
Right. So I hope that, you know, maybe that's just something that you were, you know, ready to hear right now. And that you can just envision how you can start to, you know, maybe enhance. It's, you know, the content is that other artsy word that we use, meaning, you know, what's the work about? And for some people, look, I've worked with a lot of people for whom abstraction is just not doing it for them. It's just like, I like it, it's pretty, but it's not meaningful to me. I don't understand. Fine, that's great. No problem with that at all. However, I think in the context of this class, I'm glad that you've all been playing with just shape and color, because, you know, it in some ways, having content too soon can freeze you up rather than free you up. So I'd rather have you be open to trying out different things and seeing what they do, and then understand that there's this other element you can begin to use in there to give you the content, to give you the meaning, if you want to have more meaning that's more recognizable for you. I totally get that.
And that's part of the design is
Part
what,
of the
at what
design.
point do you add that layer or that
Yes,
effect, right?
right. Now
Have
knowing.
thought how it's going to work out with the other layers that you're doing.
Yes, and that actually reminds me that I was going to talk about this. I didn't get around to it, but and it's also something I'm going to share with you after this class is over. That is, might be helpful to think about these concepts as you're beginning now, ready, you know, really ready to begin to edit or to work with your pieces, you know, to what Kate was saying before. Harmony, variety, balance, proportion, dominance, movement, economy. These are all things we've been talking about this whole time without trying to kind of, you know, when we've been talking about the work on Padlet. We're talking about this. You've heard me talk about this. Repetition of shapes or colors so that the painting is engaging. Variety, opposing or contrasting elements. Balance. You know, that thing about visual balance, proportion, are the relationships between parts of the painting making sense, dominance, or, you know, another way to say that is focal point. Movement, we talk a lot about movement. So these are all things we've been doing. And these are things that then you can print this out if you want to, and just kind of as you are working on your own, refer to them as a way to think about it. Again, there's never going to be this like recipe for how to make a perfect painting. You know, it doesn't exist. But you can refer to these to see, you know, if there's something that's missing, that you sense is missing. Oh yeah, then maybe it's not balanced. Maybe I need a little more balance, you know. So I'll send this to you all. And, you know, in the Friday class, we will start to work with it a little bit more.
But you're
because
gonna
ready.
send that, you'll send that to us.
Yeah. But yeah, so guys, it's been really great. I've so enjoyed working with all of you. It's been such a fun
blast.
class.
Yes.
I know that you've all, you know,
You
really-
all, thank Adrian.
Yeah,
thank
great to
everyone
get to
else.
know everybody.
Yeah.
It's so
it's
that
a
way.
lot of
You've
fun.
been so generous, everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well,
Yeah. So, you know, and then
Great to see your work.
And you know, also we're saying, you know, why do art? I mean, I've been finding as I've been working online with all, you know, these groups over this 2 years, that we do create a community that we don't, it's not possible to really do this in the real world. And it's how nice that it is that we're, you know, the topic is art making. The topic isn't politics or, you know, town meeting or anything like that. You know, it's just a wonderful way to get to know each other in a very special way that is only, you know, except, you know, we have our own little special community for this. So it's great. So thank you for being part of it. And I look forward to working with you all in another time, place. You know, some of you I'll see you next Friday. Don't forget to send me a check.
Not
There
this
you go.
Friday, but the following Friday, right?
Right,
Oh,
not
yeah.
this Friday, but next Friday, we'll see you again and we'll kind of start all over, but with some different activities planned. So,
Fabulous.
thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Everybody.
Bye.
Everybody.
Take care.
Yeah, bye-bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.